2024 Bowtech Core SS review. Pretty excited. Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm MFJJ here with PodiumArcher.com looking at the Bowtech Core SS. So I'm assuming what they've got here is a new rendition of the Solution SS in their core line. And their core is referring to this new little slot right here. See if you can see it. For their own proprietary dovetail design. I'm assuming that it's this shape. This is their new, it's black gold, but it's Bowtech labeled now. This new shape is for two of their bows that they're making now, the SS and the SR core. And I'm assuming they're making this because the other shape is probably patented to be able to put into a riser, so you can't copy that, would be my guess. But they did change something that's different than the other ones. It's actually bolted through, which is kind of neat. So if you look at this, there's a hole underneath that's threaded, and you move it into the hole you want, and then it's one tapered screw to hold it and tighten it down in place, and there's an indent underneath it that it locks into. So it's a unique and interesting way to do it. I think it might actually lock in a little more solid than the dovetailish version that you see on the others, but in any event, that's what the word core means. They incorporated some of the target bow features from the Reckonings into these bows. You have grip lock, which is the adjustable grip angle. Now, forewarning, some of these last year, these would peel a little bit here, so I hope they've resolved that, but keep an eye on that on these, where that flexi point is. But this allows you to change the grip angle to kind of whatever angle you want built into the grip, so you don't have to change the grip out to change that. And then they also added time lock, which is right here on either one. So adjusting your timing to get that perfect timing position, because it's really hard to get any bow really perfectly orientated timed. It's almost like one hits just microscope before the other. That allows you to finitely adjust it. And of course the deadlock timing system that's kind of made that's their technology that it's the easiest to tune a bow with. Just gonna say that. It's cut and dry, very simple. So let's measure some of the things they said on here and see what we come up with. Their draw length availability is 26.5. IBO speeds 337 feet a second, mass weight 4.5 pounds, axle to axle 31.5, brace height 6.25, and it's available in 50, 60, and 70 pound peak weights. So let's see what our axle to axle was. We were looking for, so let me pull that real quick, 31.5, and I'm going to go from the far end of the axle. So we're a little long here. It's more like 31 5/8 on this particular bow. While I'm sitting here, I'm going to find our reflex point. So this bow has pivot point, ½ inch of reflex. Forgot to grab my board to write that down. Hang on. Okay. Our reflex number is ½ inch, 31 5/8, 1/8 long. Let's measure our brace. We're looking for 6.25 here. And I would say that's over 6.25. That's more like 6 3/8. 6 3/8, which I would consider a positive. Higher brace height's always going to be a little more forgiving, so that's cool. We do have this set at 30 inches already. Let's check what our Let's check what our weight is, and then we'll see what our draw length actually measures at. There we go. Now this does have the dampeners on it already. They come on it in the box, or I just left them off. All we added was an arrow rest, so if we're looking at a 4.5 pound bow, we're probably going to roll in at 4.8 with those things on it, 4.9, and we're jostling between 5.0 and 4.9, so I'm going to call it 4.9 because it stayed on there a little longer than 5.0. So 4.9, and It's got to be within a tenth. I should really weigh a set of these with those on there and see what they actually weigh, to be fair. But let's see what our draw length ends up at after we check our weight and make sure that's ready to go. $71.4. Get those right. Yeah. Just felt a little off. Oh, I don't think the module shifted right. I'll have to fix that. Turn it off for a sec. All right, got that module set right, and then we'll give it a tug again and see. 70.4. We'll drop it just a skosh, because I know somebody out there will scream if I, oh, that's like 7 feet a second. I'll go that far. That far. Now, one of the interesting things about these Bowtechs and their locking limb pocket is it actually does lock. Most locking limb pockets are kind of for show. They make it more rigid, they make it more solid, but the limb pocket doesn't actually move, or it still moves if you don't loosen that screw. Theirs doesn't. Like, you can pull that limb bolt out and it's locked down. So if you're going to adjust the weight, you have to loosen that screw either before or after you adjust the weight. If you do it after you adjust the weight, you'll hear a pop. It'll go pop, and that's actually the limb pocket pulling back out where it should be. It's even heavier. Good Lord. 70.5. Go a little more than a quarter here. That's got to do it. Once again, you might have just heard that. It went pop. And that one too. So that pocket didn't move until I loosened that screw. So whatever they're doing in there, it actually works. $69.9. Hopefully the YouTubes is happy with that. Let's see what our length comes out to on this set at 30-inch bow. Okay, so this should be set at 30 inches. And we are right at 30 inches. Wow, way to go, Bowtech. That's pretty cool. Your draw length is actually exactly what you say it is. It's kind of rare these days. Huh. All right, here we are for our first 3 shots through the bow for feel and just to get comfortable with it, and then we'll try out our vibration. We did bolt this on while the camera was off for our vibration meter. So. Tiny little bit of vibration, just a little buzz, not a lot, and it dissipates incredibly fast. There are no string silencers on this, but that's pretty traditional for most bows. But a lot of them do have some kind of a limb silencer on them from the factory. This does not. We did leave the vibration dampeners that are bolted to the riser on, but we leave those on if a manufacturer's bow comes with it anyway. Yeah, it's real quick dissipation. It's definitely very quiet, although we'll let our we'll see what the vibration meter says, but this feels very, very good. But then again, I've always tend to gravitate towards the cycle of a Bowtech. This does feel, I've got it set in performance, and we are only going to test it in performance for speed. You'll lose about 8 feet, give or take, by switching it back to comfort off of your speed. So you can do the math on that to figure it out. We'll go ahead and bolt this on and see what kind of vibration we get. All right, we're still getting used to this little meter here, so I'm going to go ahead and put it on. That should tell me. Here we go. I kind of think I need to take that tag off. That might affect our number here, because that's going to react, I think. Okay, trying to remember what I hit here. 1294. See if I can just remember that. All right, so I turn it off, turn it back on. 892. That's the lowest number we've ever gotten. Okay. 1294, 892, 1294, 892. 1002. So I'm going to have to give it, honestly, I'll give it about a 10. That is by far the lowest number we've ever gotten. I'll give it a 10.2. That's low. All right, so this is performance. Mind you, subtract about 8 feet a second for comfort if you're going to want to shoot this bow in comfort. 69.9 pounds, 30 inches, and it is actually measuring 30 inches. So this is a very fair speed out of whatever this gets. 350 grain arrows, and then we'll shoot the 450s and the 550s, 3 of each. 326. This bow's rated 337. .330. It's more about what I thought it was going to be. That first arrow was a little left too. I think it's a little slow if you go over to the left there. .328. So we'll give it a 328 average for those arrows. Let me write that down real quick so I don't lose that. 328. 328. All right, now we're shooting our 450 grain arrows for an average, and then our 550 grain arrows for an average. .294. Make sure it doesn't hit nothing. .291. Or 2. Gotta reshoot that. First one was 294, 291. Is that right?
It is.
Okay. .292. So 292 it is. Oop, 2. What am I doing? 292. There we go. All right, let's shoot these last 3. See what we get there. Trying not to break nothing in the target here. .265.
What weight are these arrows?
550. .266. Breaking stuff in there. I may want to start pulling these in between because every time I do this, I think I break one.
I know a guy where you can buy some new ones.
I don't want to have to buy new ones. I want to reuse the same ones. I made doubles all these just in case. Duplicate. 266, 266, 265. So that'll be a 266. So let's see here. 266. All right. Let's give it some ranks here. Draw cycle on performance, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I do think it's incredibly smooth, but there is a hump in there. And that's very common with all of them. I love Bowtech's grip. Personally, I think it's super comfortable. It's very accurate. It's very low torque. And now you can adjust the angle. I'm giving them a 5. Their back wall is awesome when the bow is timed correctly. It's really rigid, it's really firm, but it doesn't break over into like something that's makes a noise when you hit the back wall. So it's still really quiet in the back end. So personally, I think they have the best back wall. Balance is incredibly good. It's not perfect, but it does feel really good in your hand. The grip is designed in the center point of the riser itself, where the arrow's leaving square. So things sit really well. I can't give it a 5. I'd give it a 4 out of 5. Tunability. Argue with me in the comments because I know you're gonna. There is not a more tunable bow than that. You can adjust the timing and you can adjust the wheel lean all at the wheel, which anybody who tunes bows for a living will adjust it at the wheel if given a choice. It tends to be more accurate and more consistent and more square. So I'm giving them a 5. I really don't think that, oh, sorry, wrong category. Give them a 5. And on the vibration 10.2, they are getting a 5 because that is the lowest we've tested. Even the freaking 50-pound ladies bow, mind you, we've only got like 5 bows in here, but that is the lowest number we've seen by far. And I think it's probably the lowest number we're going to see, but we'll find out. Let's see here. Price at $12.99 for a high-end bow with full tunability and reasonable weight. I got to give them at least a 4. I would say if that was $11.99, I'd probably say it's underpriced. So I think it's accurately priced, probably a little lower than it should be, to be honest, compared to what else is out there and what features and options it does give you. Now, features on this bow, I just want to pick this up and cover these really quickly, just so you understand why I'm giving them a really high ranking. They have a rear-mounted integration, like a lot of bows do, but not all bows do. They have an integrated dovetail feature. Dovetail feature. I wish this was Picatinny, because you wouldn't have to remake everybody's sight, and you're probably only going to be able to buy a black gold for this. So it is a nice feature that they added and did their best to add something, and I'm assuming that the reason it's not shaped like the Matthews is it's probably patented and they can't use that shape. So they went ahead and made their own. That's my only complaint, is that it's not the pick, because everybody makes a pick sight now. So you are going to be a little more restricted. Grip adjustability, that's a very nice feature that not very many bows have, and it does look like they made an integrated sidebar bracket, which they did talk to me about this like a week or two ago, so I'm positive that's what this is for. So they added a low profile V-bar. You've got a grip adjustment. You've got rear mount. You've got front mount. I'm not going to give them a 5, but I'm going to give them a 4. I think that's more features than most bows built today, but they would get a 5 if this was a universal fitting sight that mounted in a low profile fashion. So I can't do that. Also on speed, that's within 10 feet. I think that's fair. I think that's a good number. I think if you come in within 10 of your advertised number in today's world, you're being relatively fair. However, I'm not going to give you a 5. I'm going to give you a 4. And I'm going to give you a 4 because a bow with a spec of 6 3/8 and 31 5/8 axle to axle, in my opinion, should be over 330. It should produce over 330 feet a second. So this bow is an awesome bow, but I do think efficiency-wise, it could have squeezed a couple more feet a second out of this, and it might just be this one. That being said, the axle to axle and the brace height are off a little bit, but the thing I question is the fact that the axle to axle is longer, but the brace height's higher. Traditionally, if the axle to axle is longer, the brace height of a bow is lower. So I don't know if they don't have the accurate measurement on here, or if there's something a little funny about the one I got. All in all, this bow is pretty fucking awesome, but let's figure out our score. Okay, so this category is the not arguable, right? We have those. And then that's speed. So we got 5, 10, 18, 22, 26, 30 on, that. Are those 30? I'm trying to remember which one's which. Sorry, guys. 30. So 30 is the, these are opinions, right? Yeah. So that's this. That's a 30 MFO. And 9, 14, 18, 22, 32. 32 on the high score. I'd have to go back and look, but that might be the highest we've ever given. This is a very impressive bow. If the specs were, I mean, There's not a lot more I can really ask a manufacturer to do at this point. Yeah, if it weighed less or was carbon or something like that, it'd be a little nicer. But this bow's pretty dang impressive, and I do think it's priced relatively fair. And for those of you that aren't aware, Bowtech does have a military discount program. So if you have served in the military at some point or currently serve, you can get 15% off list price. Now this $12.99 price is a MAP or a minimum advertised price. These are $13.99 list, but you can get 15% off that, which takes another $200 off. So I think that puts you about $1,200 if you're a military service person. So it's a really nice bonus that I'm pretty sure only they do. Comment down below on if I'm wrong. All in all, I'm very impressed. Let me know what you think of our format and what we're doing now. Hope it was informative. Hope you learned something. I hope you learned something in a somewhat quick fashion. Thanks a lot.